Gentlemen, are we ready to go?
Yes.
And Endo, did you give a thumbs up or something? I didn't see you.
I did.
Cool.
I know you just can't. You can't see me. It's okay.
Oh.
What else were you thinking?
I had a certain Metallica song pop into my head.
Oh.
Okay.
Darkness imprisoning me.
Darkness, it is just me.
Well, I don't think I can include that for the podcast, but I can say welcome everybody to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast, your favorite hockey podcast that is not really all that much about hockey. We like the term hockey fraudcast around here, and we thank you for joining us for another week as we spend hopefully another hour discussing viewer questions and then about 10 minutes of actual hockey topics like last week. Because that was a hell of a lot of fun. And we have a loaded viewer questions section for this show as well. Before we get to that, though, first and foremost, I am joined as always by the guys, the fellas. One Mr. Sim for the win. And Mr. Endo Mills.
Hi. I'm Endo.
Okay, if we were to do a show like that where it's just like you two swap, like, okay, Sin, you portray Endo, Endo portrays Sin. Can we get a brief glimpse as to what that'd be like? Sin, how about them Leafs? Yep, that's good job. Good job. Endo, how about them Sharks? Or Sin, how about them Sharks, I should say.
Fuck Vegas. Fuck everything about Vegas. I'm losing my boy. Eric Carlson's going to leave in the offseason. I'm going to lose everything.
I'm turning into Brian 5 or 6.
Eric Carlson.
Yeah.
Eric Carlson didn't pick me up from hockey practice.
Spat my eggs at the local Pennies.
I still have my Brian 5 or 6 shirt, and he sold me on it when when the trade broke and he takes his TV and throws it in the backyard.
We don't need it anymore, honey. Fuck me, dude.
Some of the best hockey content of all time.
Yeah. I miss those videos.
Holy hell. God, I love that, man. Yeah, so boys, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. It's good to be back. As I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, don't know what we'll be doing for shows next week. I am going to be out of state, so we might not have too much going. Maybe we will. It might be one show, maybe two. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but obviously, we're heading into what is basically the final week of the NHL season, and we'll have a lot more to talk about that a little bit later on, but it's kind of crazy to me. Like, I keep finding myself looking at the calendar. It's like, oh, it's April 10th. Oh, most NHL teams have 78 games played or more. It's kind of crazy to me that, like, oh yeah, the playoffs are starting very, very soon. Sin, you are a month away from one of the biggest days in San Jose Sharks history with the Bedard lottery, which an update on that, because we were going to give an update on that anyway. By the way, Connor Bedard, the other night, scored the game-winning goal to help the Regina Pats force Game 7. He has 11 goals in 6 playoff games. But yeah, the Bedard lottery is going to be interesting. As it stands right now, the Sharks still in 4th with 3 games to, or 4th on the bottom, that is. 3 games to go. Anaheim might still jump them, maybe Chicago. We'll see. It's close.
It'll be tough for us to move up from 4 at this point. We'd have to rely on
mathematically
the
cannot. So you are. I thought you were meaning like literally, like we made our odds 5th. Yeah.
No. So, we can't go there. But I'm just like, give me, like we can maybe make it to 3,
Third
like
best
if we're
odds.
lucky. Yeah, which
Yeah.
sucks. At one point, we were dead last, and we had a 3-game winning streak at the worst possible time.
Locked into bottom 4 odds are the Sharks, Ducks, Hawks, and Blue Jackets. It's just a matter of where they wind up at this stage. So again,
Anywhere,
that lottery.
honestly, I would be cool with like. I don't want him on the Ducks, obviously, nor do I want him in Chicago just for moral reasons. Like, I wouldn't mind him in Columbus. Like, they're still selling out games like consistently as a bottom feeder, which is good for them.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd want him San Jose or Columbus. But
Yeah, well,
we'll see.
Funny enough, right? Because we were going to get into this later, but screw it. We'll get into it now. It makes sense. And then we'll get into viewer questions. NCAA wise, we hadn't had a chance to talk about a lot. Obviously, the final happened. I don't know if you guys caught the game. I did. But Quinnipiac wins their first national title, defeating Minnesota. Soda! 3-2. 3-2 in a game where they were trailing. They scored in the final few minutes in regulation, and then 10 seconds into overtime, they win it and take down a juggernaut Minnesota team. Shout out
sudden
to
death.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, shout out to friend of the podcast, a certain NHL esports world champion and equipment manager for Quinnipiac, one Mr. Rampage from the NHL community, goaltender for Entourage. It was so fucking funny, man. Having met that guy in person in Finland, and then all of a sudden I am watching Quinnipiac celebrate, and you just look and you like triple take, like, is that him? he's on the ice. What the fuck? He's in the picture. Like on the right hand side, they got the fucking typical picture at center ice, and there he is celebrating. One of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I think the best part was some of his buddies were chirping him, like the picture of like the fake Jordan. Where it's like Blood thinks he's on the team. It's my favorite.
Of course.
So aside from that, NCAA wise, to mention the lottery and everything, Adam Fantilli became just the 3rd freshman ever to win the Hobie Baker Award for top player in the nation, joining Paul Correa and Jack Eichel as the only 2 to ever do it. So, man, even if you don't end up with that number 1 pick.
Yeah, like I wanted number 1 or number 2. I'd have been totally fine with that. I'm a little salty that we could get bounced as far as 7. Can't you? How far could we get bounced? Theoretically, like. Yeah.
Oh, because they did change.
I know. I can't remember. I know if you're rules. 1, you can't go back. You can only go back to 4. I can't remember.
Right. Let me double check that, because now even I am a little bit uncertain because of the changes. So taking a look here, last place team has a 25.5% chance of winning the top spot, which are the best odds by far. Second last has a 13.5% chance. And in terms of how far they can drop, yeah, because I don't think has the NHL game made that change yet. I don't think that it has.
I don't know. It doesn't show percentages. Like,
that's not good.
Wouldn't
be the first oversight this year. Jeez.
Yeah. So in terms of how far someone can drop, I think you're right that 7th. All right. So great. Okay, here it is. So you're only able to move up 10 picks in the draft. So if one of the better teams that are positioned 17 to 21 wins the lottery with their really small percentage, they'll only move up 10 spots. Additionally, tanking teams are not going to be able to win every year. You're not able to win the lottery more than twice in a 5-year span. Oh, I forgot about that rule. So Arizona, Chicago, 2 teams that are rebuilding heavily, cannot win the lottery every season if they continue to tank. Goodness. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you're right. Pretty sure that you're right, but I definitely have that.
So, let us move up. God damn. Like, give us something. Like, God.
Yeah. Like, not to say like even a 3rd or the 4th overall pick would be bad.
No, it's not
certainly
gonna be bad.
Not.
It's just, dude, like Bedard
the
or
drop
Fantilli.
Off.
Yeah, it's you have two franchise guys, get bona fide franchise guys going 1 and 2. 3 to 5 are pretty much elite but still, like, you need a franchise guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, Michkov potentially going third, but he's a big question mark this year compared to what he would have been 3-4 years ago. Swede Leo Carlson, who, I mean, played in the SHL this year for Örebro. Like, he looks great.
Yeah.
Then you get into, like, the Zach Bensons of the world and some other options. I mean, yeah, that drop-off is, at least on paper, pretty sharp. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, congrats to Adam Fantilli on making some history. That said, we'll get into some viewer questions, but before we do that, of course, this podcast is always brought to you by our friends at manscaped.com. You can go to, again, manscaped.com and use the promo code Tougie, that's Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. Of course, Manscaped, the best you can get when it comes to men's grooming. They have everything that you could possibly need, head to toe. They got you covered, whether it's the lovely Performance Package 4.0 to take care. I mean, look, bottom line is it's a trimmer for your groin and it has a flashlight. You will never be safer. It doesn't, a day or night, you will never be safer than you will be with the Performance Package 4.0. There's the Beard Hedger Pro Kit that they launched earlier this year. I don't know about you, but I've been looking at Sin's face and how perfectly sculpted that beard has become. Manscaped.com, promo code Tougie, get so much more along from the things, of course, that we just mentioned. I mean, when they have products such as the lawnmower and the weed whacker when talking about men's grooming, you know what you're getting. And that's the best.
And the crop. Don't forget the crop preserver. This makes my nuts smell good.
There you go. And speaking of nuts, our first question comes from Crocodile Dundee's Nuts. What's your favorite N64 multiplayer game? Mine is a toss-up between Mario Party 2 and GoldenEye. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, Mario Party 2 is an obvious shout, but I'm going to have to go with the first Battle Tanks. It was such a good game. Like, playing with, like, 4 players, like, played this game called, I think the mode was called, like, Queen Lord. It's essentially capture the flag. You have to, like, try to go into other people's bases and, like, blow up their little building and then capture the queen and get it back to your base. And you have to get everyone's. So, like, and if you go into someone with multiple queens, you can capture them all at the same time. It was super fun. And you had this AI tank at home, like, on rails that would, like, move back and forth and shoot hella fast. Like, oh, dude, it was such a fun game. But I mean, how do you beat Mario Party or Mario Kart? Those are just so good too.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, Mario Party 2 is still my favorite Mario Party of all time. When Sin and I talked about playing a shitload of Mario Party when we were both in Finland, it was Mario Party Superstars, which has a lot of the Mario Party 2 games and the maps, which are still just unrivaled even today, in my opinion. The N64 was fucking amazing for racing games. Obviously, whether it be Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, Wave Race, like, I fucking loved that console for racing games. And then you get into more of the sports games, Gretzky 3D. For me, it would be tough, but I would probably still have to go with, like, WWF No Mercy. Just in terms of the game that I have played the most in a multiplayer setting, it is that. That said, if, like, I had to choose, it's like, okay, you're in a room with random people. What game are you breaking out? It's Mario Party 2. So, that's a tough one though. Endo, do you have a go-to?
So I didn't really have an N64 growing up, but I had a buddy, family friend, who would come over and bring over his, like, 64, and it was either Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, but I always picked Oddjob because I was a little fucking idiot kid. Or Smash.
Who throws a shoe?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Smash Bros. Yeah, that's a good one. I did play a fair amount of Super Smash Brothers, but, like, I played a lot more of it when, like, Melee came out and other stuff like that. Like, I feel like it really came into its own. Like, after, like, the first one's great, but fuck, Melee and Brawl were just, like, peak.
Yeah, I do agree. From Ripley, you have to fight someone of equal ability to yourself in a knife versus baseball bat fight to the death. Which weapon do you choose?
Fucking baseball bat, obviously.
It's the range, right?
Yeah, you have reach. You could dance around them. Like, to get a knife, you have to... What was that, Endo?
Can I put knives on my baseball bat?
No.
Like,
and if you cut me off again, I will expel you from this call. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's got it. And anytime you can have a reach advantage, and a base and blunt force is a lot crazier than like sharp force. Like it's very, very hard to try to stab someone, and you can do a lot more with a baseball bat than you can with a knife.
Yeah,
like
internal bleeding
use a baseball bat like defensively too.
The thing is, though, if someone were able to close the distance on you, it becomes a lot more difficult to use that bat in close range.
You can choke,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Blunt. I mean, like, blunt trauma is one thing. I mean, internal bleeding is a lot harder to stop than external bleeding,
So, again, it's a fight against yourself, though. Or someone, essentially, it's against yourself, of equal ability to you. You have, essentially, we could phrase this as you have been cloned, and you are fighting your clone to the death. Do you want a knife or a baseball bat?
I'm gonna hit a baseball bat. I'm gonna hit myself in the chest enough, I guess. You know?
You just got kicked in your chest.
I'm just gonna try to restart the myocarditis that I just got cleared from, you know? Just quickly just fucking go right for the heart. There you go.
I'm so torn because in theory, like, again, like I got a pretty fucking big wingspan. And it's just one of those things where I'm wondering, like, okay, the bat does make the most sense, but at the same time, would it be smarter to go for knife? Because I don't inherently need that reach advantage, but I'm also going up against myself.
Going against yourself, yeah, you do.
Am I okay? The real question is, am I allowed to pick my weapon if they have to pick their weapon first? Who picks their weapon first, or are we both in random rooms?
It's knife.
And then we just walk into the arena.
It's only knife or a bat. There's not other options.
But if they pick a knife, then that leaves me a strategic option of what's the best way to counter that?
So basically, who picks first?
Well, no. One of you has a knife. The other one has a baseball bat.
Yeah, but are you aware of what the other person's choice is before you make your choice? I think it's what Tougie's trying to say. Like, if I know that fucker's gonna pick knife, I'm picking a baseball bat.
Well, yeah, you have to though. In that instance, you have to pick baseball bat.
You can't be like, oh, he has a knife, I'll get a knife too. It's one of you has the other. So it doesn't matter who picks first.
That's true.
It's just what do you want?
Fair enough.
It's baseball bat. Like, it has to be. Fucking one strike on the leg, you can break a bone. They're fucked.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Cut me on the arm. I'll still fight. You stab me once in like the gut, I'll still fucking fight. It's not like enough to. You can't completely incapacitate someone like a single stab that's not directly to the neck or like the heart. Dudes get shanked over 100 times in prison. They're still alive. Now, granted, those are shanks and shit, but like still. It's so hard to like stab someone. And it's also very tiring to stab someone. It's tiring to swing a baseball bat, sure, but like I said, it's such a defensive weapon.
You know what show you would have been perfect for?
What?
Remember Deadliest Warrior?
Yes.
Dude, I love that show.
Since brought on as the specialist to explain
game,
each weapon's pros and cons.
Yeah, dude.
They had
I
a
love
game.
that show too.
I swear.
Yeah. I need to play that game through an emulator or something because I recall hearing that it was complete garbage, which no shit, right?
How is it not going to be garbage?
Yeah.
Deadliest Warrior, the game. Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah. From AJ, what are your thoughts on how fast AI is progressing, and specifically how music is being created of artists solely done through AI? Do you think this will greatly affect the future? So, to that first point, my thoughts on how fast AI is progressing, we're fucked. Secondly, in terms of music, I mean, like, you're never gonna like inherently get rid of like what makes music. I mean, yes, you know, we went through, and to this day, it's still a thing, but it's not as obvious. You know, the auto-tune generation, like obviously auto-tune is still very, very much a thing, but not to the point where it's like a feature. I don't know. I think it's interesting, the idea of like, here's Chester Bennington on the new Linkin Park song, except it's not. Like, if that's a thing, then
I think in that way
weird.
It's I don't know, man.
It just reminds me of What's Up Coachella. That's all it reminds me of.
Oh
it's like,
my god!
Weird
fucking AI, AR, fucking Tupac,
Hollow
just
Pop.
chilling. Oh man, I mean, like Japan's been doing that shit for a while with Vocaloid, so it's more or less like it's becoming more of a phenomenon. I mean, Vocaloid's a whole different entire thing entirely, but the way I see AI with music itself, it's kind of concerning because it's getting pretty accurate. And like even like the more that we talk on a podcast like this, like someone could just put our voices into like a train, like an AI, like a data train, and just that we have like some sort of recording. I mean, you won't get me because I don't know how to pronounce certain words properly, and I have a lisp and all that fun stuff. So I think I'm safe.
I mean, like, I don't know. I'm torn on this. Like, tech bros need to just stop sometimes, and like humans in general just needs to go back to the Jeff Goldblum fucking quote. You're so like, concerned about whether or not you can do it, you don't have to stop to think if you should. Like, there's certain things, like I saw this one post about like, hey, we're getting to the point where we can just completely recreate the voice of like deceased loved ones and stuff like that, and like you can listen to them. Like, that's
oh my god,
weird.
yeah,
that's weird and gross. Like, you're taking away a key part of human development, which is learning how to grieve and deal with the departed of loved ones. Like, that's a key part of human development. You're essentially going to create a society that is incapable of letting go if you allow that to become some kind of normalization, or I don't know. So AI music, I struggle to see how it would ever be close to as good as human created music. Some pop stuff, sure, but you absolutely cannot have that same kind of like heart and soul that some of these great ass songs have. Like, there's AI cannot comprehend. It doesn't create. That's the thing. Music is creation. Yes, sometimes it borrows. AI plagiarizes. It doesn't just borrow it. It has to plagiarize because it cannot physically feel. Like, that's not a thing that AI does. You can simulate certain things. You can simulate those types of things, but it's never going to be a complete. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a controversial subject, and unfortunately, the only thing that is worrying is how fast it's growing and how many people are just struggling and trying to monetize it as quickly as fucking possible and make a bunch of money off it, instead of realizing the kind of power that perhaps is in your fingertips and the bad things that it could lead to. Like saying government has to step in. Oh my God, you guys all need to have now a digital ID. And you cannot have a bank account now. You cannot have a passport. You can't do any of these things without a digital ID. And so the same people pushing for an AI, bunch of tech bro libertarian fucks, would hate that idea. So they need to realize what could come of their dabbling in this awesome power that is AI.
Now, what are your thoughts? Oh, I was going to say, now, what are your thoughts on animation and using AI? Because I'm torn on that as well too. The way I see, because I know a few months ago there was a whole thing about AI art and all this and people stealing stuff like that. I'm like, using AI to steal someone's art style and do like that and sell it for profit, wrong. Using AI to assist in art or in sort of a creative design, sure, yeah, as long as you're cleaning up and making progress on top of what it is. Like, if I'm a story designer or like a story designer, I want to use AI stuff to make backgrounds, but also, to help with the process, make the process faster. I feel like that should be a tool that you should use. instead of just like using it to recreate someone else's art.
Yeah, to me, it's in the same vein right now as NFTs were, where they're essentially ripping off people's art in certain ways and then profiting off it by putting it into this other thing. And that's essentially what AI does, is that it takes and steals concepts and pieces. And it's not borrowing, it's not being inspired by something, because it cannot. It's literally plagiarism. And that's why that it's, at this point, completely wrong, and it should not be used to try to replace valuable and things that, are valued parts of society and things that people do to survive, particularly artists. Because it's weird how they're always the ones who like the first people to get screwed over by this sort of stuff. You're muted, Tougie. Or something.
Sin for president. There you go. There are my thoughts. I have nothing to add to that conversation, I gotta be honest. From Rafi, which sport has the worst refs/umpires?
Yes. They all suck. I'm not sure what the hell it's been. For the past, year and a half, 2 years, reffing across the board, or umpiring, or officiating, has been absolutely dog shit. Is this because of the era of sports betting being at an all-time high and people have a little inside money on it? I don't know what's going on. And it's kind of it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. No matter what sport you play in, there's always going to be something. Fucking Premier League yesterday in the Liverpool game, at the end of the first half, Liverpool's left back Andy Robertson went up to the ref to, essentially, from what we could tell, it was what's up with that? The referee elbowed him in the fucking chin.
Whoa.
In a super defensive get away from me type of thing. He fucking elbowed him directly in the fucking chin.
Crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a matter of some of these, if these refs, and the word was today that guy is being removed until the completion of an investigation. If it's one of those things where it's is just the pressure of the situation too damn high? But man, that comes with the territory. You were going to be consistently under scrutiny to begin with. Like Endo said, I mean, under the table betting has been a thing with officials fucking everywhere. NBA fans will know the name of Tim Donaghy. And he is the NBA official that did get caught gambling on games. You think he's the only one and that it was only basketball and is still only basketball? No. There's so many different factors going into it, from people just being outright incompetent to, yes, there's likely some under the table stuff going on. It's just a very flawed system across the board, essentially.
Yeah. So. I think it has to be baseball for me, dude. There's bad calls being made, especially behind the plate dudes. But the fact that they have so much fucking power too, they could just toss someone out of nowhere. And it's been that whole thing with the catcher who reached back and then didn't know if the ball was coming, took his glove away, and the umpire little ego got bruised or something, and he just tossed him for that.
Are you serious? Training this year.
Holy shit, man! That is nuts.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, for baseball, it's a little bit worse because you do have the technology for it to be fully automatic. In the NFL, pass interference, holding, those are such subjective, in-the-moment calls that you can't really train an AI to be able to call them properly. Same for hockey with the way that rule book works, so on and so forth. But in baseball, balls and strikes, it's not that difficult to get it 100% right 100% of the time, yet they choose not to and choose to go with this system that, yes, human error is a key part of it. I think that's what makes baseball worse for me, is just knowing that they could get it right 100% of the time and choose to go with the system
Yeah.
where they don't.
I think balls, like having a robo ump for balls and strikes would be fine. Everything else, they could still have humans. Like you don't need to eliminate the human factor entirely because, there's a lot of things that, and they have video review for the other stuff too. So,
yeah. The issue is like the Premier League, for example, has video review and they still get shit wrong. So does the NHL, for that matter. So, just one of those like, oh, good, you have the technology, but you don't know how to use it properly. The people that are able to be in that situation, God, they're all just terrible. Sin and I gave you the long answer. Endo gave you the short answer. From Nighthawk, between the three of you, who can come up with the best hockey name-based pun? I only put this in here to essentially say you're asking us for the best fantasy hockey team name.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've had a few good ones.
Oh, okay.
God.
Oh, I thought you were talking about player, not like team name. I would say my favorite's still Jack Horn.
I mean, they're all based off of like player names the way I do my fantasy teams. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't have a, like, I gotta be honest. I haven't thought about anything like that in a long time because there was a time frame where every Eashel team name or something like that, or fantasy hockey, it's like, okay, there's the don't Taves me, bro, and then there's this guy with that name that you see all the time, and just it got boring to me.
To Kirill a Mockingbird. Done.
That's
there you go.
solid.
I won't be able to beat that.
Yeah. I had the old one, Brent Burns when I pee. But that's not really a pun. I was just always playing on words.
That's just a fact, dude. That's just a fact.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good pun for hockey name.
I
had Kane and Table as my that was my fantasy team name. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but yeah, Kane and Table.
broke Pack Mountain will always be my favorite for hot. Let me see. I have a fantasy team. I can't remember what I called it this year. Completely forgot about it too. Give me a second.
Oh God. Yeah, I got nothing for this. Absolutely nothing for this. I cannot contribute in any way whatsoever. So it's up to you two to carry this particular question, please.
Kirill and Mockingbird was decent.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I just checked my fantasy for the first time since the first week of the season.
Oh, you're one of those.
I am 5-16-0. I'm 12th of 12th in Deekslaver's Fantasy Hockey League. I haven't checked this thing since the beginning of the season.
I gave up on mine midway through because my whole team kept getting injured. I'm like, this is bullshit.
I have Kopitar, Kadri, Goudreau, Manjapani, Duchesne, Batherson, Makar, Heiskanen, Power, Giordano, Horvat, Bunting, Hartman, Landeskog, Gibson, Vejmelka.
Bro, you don't have to give us your whole roster here.
And Tyler and fucking Demko. There you go.
Okay, now for anyone listening to this, if anybody gave a single solitary fuck, let Endo know at Endo Mills on Twitter. Otherwise, thanks for the contribution.
I have mid, and everyone who came back was like, the minute they came back, they went back on the LTIR. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What's the point?
Oh, God. Thank you for the question, Nighthawk.
You're welcome.
From Foresight Hogan, which is my favorite oxymoron of a name. Who had the most underrated season on each of your favorite teams?
Jet Alexander.
Okay, so we were going to talk about that. Let's talk about it now. I had a little section called People Getting Pissy for later on in the show, which one was going to be about Bo Horvat, where during the last Islanders game, he was asked how it feels. He's like, yeah, this is great, unlike in Vancouver. And holy shit, some Canucks fans, some media, yeah, we've been talking shit about the Canucks all season, but how dare Bo Horvat shut up? And then Bo apologizes for it. And it's like, you got nothing to apologize for. You went from a team that's going fucking nowhere to a team that has the chance to make the playoffs, and you're happy about it. If any Canucks fans are mad about that, what the fuck are you complaining about? Because you've complained about your team just as much all season long. You complained about your team going nowhere 3 games into the season to the point where I was like, man, I don't know. I think you guys are being harsh. And then by game 20, it was, yeah, you know, you guys are right. And then you fired Bruce, and then you re-signed this guy that, like, no shit. Like, why is it okay for the media and for the fans to say, yeah, Vancouver's kind of a tire fire, but it's not okay, according to some people, for Bo Horvat to be like, yeah, you know, it kind of sucked there. Fuck off. Criticizing Bo Horvat for that. And then also in terms of people getting pissy, there was the whole Leafs-Habs game where the Leafs, up like 7-1, put in their e-bug. Because why not? They have an ongoing goalie situation, including today. This news broke while we were recording this, as to the Leafs not being able to call up Joseph Woll, so they have another e-bug in tonight. And a lot of people are being like, interesting that it was ruled that the Leafs couldn't call this guy up, in Joe Woll, that is. And of course, Chris Weidman on the Habs got pissy about the Leafs putting in an e-bug. Oh, it's disrespectful. They'll get what's coming to them in a week. They're going to lose. Like, the thin skin on some people.
You know what's funny?
God.
You know what's funny about this? Not only just the whole situation is so stupid. The Leafs are signing Chenard to the amateur tryout. Nick Chenard, formerly of the Oshawa, I think was with the Sound Bears, whatever. So the best part about this is that the reason why they can't bring up Woll on emergency relief is because they signed Matthew Knies. They signed him to the entry-level deal. And because the league said that you literally caused this yourself, this wasn't an incidental thing, we're not letting you call up your backup goaltender. So basically the league's saying, yeah, fuck you. Go do the funniest thing of all time again for another game in a row. And if they put Chenard in for the last minute and a half again, I will laugh my ass off. I will fucking laugh so hard.
I hope they do.
Funny. I think they should.
That idea of an NHL player getting pissy because the team felt comfortable enough to put their e-bug in for the last little bit of the game, then don't get your fucking ass kicked.
I was just going to say that. They wouldn't have done that in a 3-2, 4-2 game, dude. Probably not even 5-2. Like, they're 7-1. Stop getting, don't get shelled.
Here's the thing, too, about that. It's not even an e-bug. That's what everyone gets confused. It's an actual contracted player who's going in. With Jed Alexander, he's played 2 years right now with U Sports with the U of T Varsity Blues. I've seen him play. Great goaltender, undersized, whatever. The fact that people think it's just some random guy off the street, it's not. David Ayers was an active player with the team. Scott Foster was an active member of the team itself too. They'd fill in for practices and all that stuff like that. What Alex Bishop from last year also filled in. It's just some random dude. It's not literally me. It's not me going there and hopping and being like, oh, I'm going to go play with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh boy, I get a jersey out of it. No, it's an actual current athlete. Shut up. So it's someone who is legit. Like a fucking athlete. With the case of Jet Alexander, he did such a good year over with the Varsity Blues. He's got 2 more years of eligibility for school, and who knows to get a contract with the ECHL or the AHL. Are people going to be like, "Oh wow, this guy fell off, went from playing a minute and a half in the NHL to go play in the ECHL or AHL"? I think people are just upset for no fucking reason.
Yeah, Eric Gustafson got his feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Or not Eric Gustafson, excuse me. He might have too, but Chris Weidman got his feelings hurt.
Chris Weidman, the cabbie? The Uber Chris Weidman? Or was that Dennis Weidman?
The Uber Chris Weidman. Yes.
What a fucking pussy. Jesus.
And for those who do not...
but he's a fucking pussy.
For those who do not get the reference, by the way, this is a 33-year-old man. He was one of the players involved in the 2018-19 Uber incident in Ottawa. During the 18-19 season, November 4, 2018, a video was released showing Weidman and 6 of his teammates criticizing the Ottawa Senators and mocking assistant coach Marty Raymond while in the back of an Uber in Phoenix, Arizona. The video was recorded without their players' knowledge, with Weidman and then teammate Matt Duchene talking throughout most of the video. And then obviously, after the Uber incident, he was traded 3 times in 4 months. So maybe, just maybe, this says more about you and a toxic level of competitiveness, given the fact that they only had 18 shots on Ilya Samsonov, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 21 if they're including power play. It was 21 shots. Do you guys know how long Jed Alexander was in that game for?
90 seconds.
1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yep.
In which the Habs recorded 0 shots against him. You're mad at yourself, friend. You are not mad at the Leafs for, it's a disrespectful hockey code. No, you should be mad at your fucking self because you got pumped. You got a rightful excuse for it. Your team's not very good. You got a shitload of injuries, but you guys got fucking pumped and you're mad about it, and that's okay. But you don't get to sit there and, they're disrespectful. Fuck you. Grow up.
Yeah, it's that unwritten rule stuff, like in baseball, like you're not allowed to celebrate home runs and all that shit. Like,
oh, man.
Pitch better if you don't want to get taken yard.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, that has changed a lot.
Good.
Even in the last 10 years, Endo will obviously know this. Like, it was almost 10 years ago now that Jose Batista and the infamous bat flip.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
fuck. That was an amazing moment. And that was really kind of the start, or at least it really helped push forward the idea of letting players fucking have personality and celebrating home runs. Dude, there was a pitcher, I fucking forget his name. He wore special cleats last night. Scooby-Doo inspired cleats. He literally wore Diamondbacks pitcher Dre Jameson 2 days ago wore Scooby-Doo cleats against the fucking Dodgers.
I mean,
and of course, you would have nothing but the back in my day. If he tried that shit, we would have fucking charged the mound.
Dude, fucking Marcus Stroman was pitching in Air Force Ones. Shut the fuck up. He was pitching in Air Force Ones with fucking with spikes on the bottom. This is fucking hilarious.
So, again, if you're in hockey, you do not want to be behind baseball when it comes to allowing people to showcase their personality. Because Lord knows the MLB has its own fucking issues lately. You do not want to be behind baseball in that way. So, to the Chris Weidmans of the world, toughen up, Buttercup, is my suggestion to you. Anyway, the original question... Who had the most underrated season on each of your favorite teams? I mean,
what? Oh,
yeah, that was the original question. Who had the most underrated season on your favorite team? Was the original question.
I mean,
so
no one.
I think I do have an answer for you, and that would probably be Barabanov. 47 points in 68 games. Most people only view him as a Leafs cast-off. He's a solid option for the Sharks.
He is, but he's kind of always done that since he's been here. Has post that many points. Maybe it wasn't that high before. Maybe you're right.
But who the hell talks about Alex Barabanov outside of San Jose?
That's very true. That is very true.
He had 39 points in 70 games last year, so he improved this year.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I knew he had around the 40s last year, but I didn't know he didn't hit 40. Okay, yeah. That's a solid one. I was going to say maybe Carlson, because while he is being talked about, he's in San Jose, and he's really not being talked about enough, in my opinion. Like, the dude's probably going to hit 100 points.
We'll be talking about him in a little bit, so I agree with that close. In a certain sense. For the Leafs, Endo, do you have a go-to? Because for me, I mean... it's a little bit tough because their most underrated player might be, funny enough, like Ilya Samsonov, who is is he really that underrated in a sense of like, oh shit, he's having like his best season ever. But obviously he's a Toronto goaltender, so people have hyper fixated on him.
I mean, for a guy to come in his first year with 41 games played, I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna do a quick comparison to last season because holy shit, he had a lot of games played this year. Yeah, I'm thinking Samsonov because he came through and he's doing super well.
Aside from that, like maybe Jake McCabe, who isn't like crazy on the score sheet, but he has been great analytically for years and is still looking great analytically. For the Boston Bruins, Pavel Zacha. Easily Pavel Zacha. Again, and we're going to talk about the Bruins, and if anything, I can talk about it right now. They set the NHL record for most wins in a season with 63, and they still have 2 games left against 2 non-playoff teams, Washington and Montreal. This season has been fucking insane. Like, that, it really hasn't set in yet that the Boston Bruins of 2022-23 have the winningest regular season record ever. Has not set in for me yet. And we talked about the lack of faith in Don Sweeney and kind of what was, what this season was looking like. And it's like, okay, they should be good, but holy shit, the Atlantic. And hey, flat out, there's nobody, whether you were a little bit more pessimistic about certain moves like me or really optimistic about this team, there is not a single person who, I mean, yeah, you could say, hey, they're probably going to be better than people think. Nobody thought they'd be record setters. A large part of that, in all honesty, has been the acquisition of Pavel Zacha, who, as a middle 6 option to be able to slot on the wing, down the middle, has been fantastic. And he was in a trade that was 1-for-1 with New Jersey for Eric Holla. And Eric Holla this year for the Devils, 39 points in 79 games. Not bad. Pavel Zacha has 57 points in 80 games and has had that versatility that they've needed. 21 goals on the year. He has, granted, in 4 more games played, the same amount of points as Patrice Bergeron. I mean, Pavel Zacha has been an absolutely tremendous addition to this team, and one of those under-the-radar moves for Don Sweeney that has paid off in absolute spades. So it's been crazy. And then obviously too for the Bruins, just to mention it, David Pastrnak joined Connor McDavid as the only 2 players to hit 60 goals this season. Last time there were 2 players with 60 goals in the same year was 95-96 when Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr both did it. And Pastrnak also now joins Phil Esposito as the only Bruin in history with the 60-goal season. And again, Phil Esposito did that 50 years ago, I believe. So, yeah, and 300 career goals now for David Pastrnak.
Yeah.
Again,
I also think McAvoy deserves a good shout.
Yes,
because he has 50 points and he's only played 65 games. Like that's put that towards a full season. Like he's probably at 60 right now, and with his game being what it is, exceptional in the defensive zone. Like he's better defensively by a pretty good margin. Everyone we have on our list for top selections for the Norris.
Yes. And honestly, Jeremy Swayman, a lot of the attention, and obviously we'll talk about awards.
Damn, really wanted him.
Goaltender of the year is locked up. We'll talk about it later. But Jeremy Swayman this year, as the Bruins backup, I mean, it's 48-35 in terms of all Mark's games, Swayman's games. So really, it's almost like a 1A, 1B. But Swayman has 35 games played this year with a 23-6 record, 921 save percentage, and a 2.22 goals against average. He has been out fucking standing. The only problem is the slam dunk Vezina winners ahead of him. But again, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. It's been, honestly, fuck the Tampa Bay Lightning for losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Because of you fuckers, I cannot sit here and properly enjoy this because I'm so fucking nervous about the playoffs. Yeah. And the idea of here's the best regular season team ever, and what if they don't make it out of the first round? Fuck you, Tampa, for doing this to me and other Bruins fans. I hate you. I mean, again, the team's been incredible. David Pastrnak is re-signed and just scored 60 goals. If David Pastrnak wasn't re-signed and went to free agency, he'd get another $2 to $3 million on top of what he just got. Hands down. Everything's working out great, except there's that thought in the back of the mind of what if Tampa happens this time, and I fucking hate it. 2 more questions. From RG Dust, if you could go anywhere in the world, except for Finland, where would you go? Sweden.
Dude, I was gonna say that. I was gonna be like Sweden and then take a train to Finland.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but Sweden is, I've heard, a great place. Now, for me, it'd be have to be New Zealand.
Ooh, good one.
Like, yeah, I want to see all the Lord of the Rings places.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah.
I see enough of New Zealand on GeoGuessr when I play, and it's like sheep. Okay, New Zealand or Wales? It's always the question. If I can't pick Sweden, I'd pick Norway. If I can't pick Norway, I'll pick Estonia. Just get me to that part of the world. It's beautiful, it's lovely, and I miss it. Endo, where would you go?
I don't know.
Good answer. Good answer.
Well, I'm gonna say I go where my dad is, and so I can finally see that fucker. No, I think I'd probably go to just make everything trauma related.
Honestly, I'd go fuck myself is what it sounded like you were gonna say. So you had such a strong emphasis on F for the moment, and it was fine that I genuinely thought that's not what you were gonna say.
Oh man, now I might do that. I don't know. I'm trying to remember like places where I've been. I'd go back to Vancouver for what? I'd go back to Vancouver for a bit. You know,
Vancouver was nice, pricey, but
Vancouver was nice. Yeah. So I'm visiting. I'm not living there. Shit.
I have to play hockey 24/7 just to have a chance.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, God. Our final question comes from one Bouncy McBoink Boink. What is your holy grail jersey or item in sports memorabilia? And for me, he says pro wrestling counts as well. Do you have a holy grail item of sports memorabilia?
I've never been that big on sports memorabilia, so I don't think I'd even have one.
Oh, I got one. So this was the year that Toronto got Jose Bautista, but he didn't like pop off. It was fan appreciation night, so the last regular season home game. The dude signed my glove like on the back over here, like right around the thumbs area. I still have it, but I don't have it here. And I had no idea he was gonna pop off and be like an absolute juggernaut and like win like the fucking most home runs the following year after. So that's like my cool like memorabilia thing, I guess, if that counts.
I will say the puck from David Pasternak's Stanley Cup winning goal in about 3 months. There we go. That's my holy grail item right there. Let's make it happen.
They weren't going to lightning themselves before. They certainly are now.
Fuck.
Oh boy. Wait, hold on. I think I have something. I'm going to go steal something. I'm going to be right back.
I mean, again, like, obviously people know about the jersey collection and everything. Like, I already have, like, a Ray Bork's Avs jersey with the 2001 Cup patch on it. I mean, it's tough for me to think of something like that because, yeah, for the most part, and to that point, I have pretty much everything that I would, everything that I'd need.
Yeah, I'm just not big on, like, I've never been big on sports memorabilia. Like, I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Endo, what'd you grab?
I have a puck signed by Team Canada goaltender Sammy Joe Small.
There you go.
Pretty sweet. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So with that, we will thank everyone for their questions. Again, as always, there is a link to the Discord in the description to get your questions in, like those fine people did, whether or not you are listening to this on your audio platform of choice or watching us on the YouTube side of things. And if you are, hello. Let's get into a few of the topics that we haven't been able to discuss yet. It's kind of some stat time stuff, but something we didn't do that we normally do at the beginning of a month is our updated award winners and who we think will walk away with, the ones that we can more properly quantify. I mean, if you're getting into like the Selkie conversation, that's a little bit more difficult. There's a lot more prep work and studying for that. And obviously it's super, super subjective. But for the primary awards, and we're going to start off with the Hart Trophy. Most of these are already locked up. Let's be honest. And for the Hart Trophy, I mean, this has been locked up all season. It was his to lose, obviously. Connor McDavid.
Yep.
And in terms of the numbers here, right? As of the time of recording, Connor McDavid has 64 goals and 87 assists for 151 points.
It's absurd.
It's insanity. And again, he is 4 points away from tying Steve Yzerman, or as Bill Clinton once called him, Steve Yzerman. 1 point away from, or 4 points away, from tying his record of the highest point total in a season for someone not named Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux, which you might be saying, that's not a record. The fuck it is, because those two are on a different stratosphere. Those two are super mutants, essentially. And obviously he has 2 games left to do it. Colorado on Tuesday, and then San Jose at home on Thursday. Can Connor McDavid get 5 points in 2 games? Yes. Yes, he can. And
it'll be tough. Yeah.
I hope he does.
Me too. Like, I was cheering for him against San Jose, quite obviously, because that's only good. Like, yeah, get a bunch of points, McDavid, and make my team lose. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I mean, that's best case scenario for you as a Sharks fan. Avs-wise, it is worth noting they are dealing with some injuries. And I was going to bring this up in a little bit, but now
they've been doing that all year, man. Like, poor Avs. They've had injuries all year.
Yeah, like they still have some good things going for them, right? Like Mikko Rantanen hit 100 points. He's now on 102. And Nathan McKinnon, who's on 107 points this year. This comes from Peter Baugh on Twitter. Since the All-Star game, McKinnon has 26 goals and 53 points in 31 games, which in a full season would be a 140-point pace. When healthy, the Avs are still great, but right now they are without Darren Helm, who's only played 11 games this year. Lekkonen's out. Bowen Byram is listed as out. Josh Manson, and now, most importantly, Cale Makar. Undetermined amount of time that he is going to miss due to a lower body injury, and Gabriel Landeskog has not played a game yet this season. So, I mean, McDavid getting a couple points against the Avs or outright going off is certainly possible. Obviously, it's more likely against San Jose.
The league is safer, at least.
Yeah.
Without Landeskog's ass out there.
Yeah.
I know I'll make Avs fans pissed, but yeah, he's dirty, man.
He has his moments. I like him a lot as a player. He has.
So do I, but he's just one of those sneaky, dirty fuckers, dude.
He's in that Jamie Benn sphere.
Yeah.
He's in that Jamie Benn sphere. Pretty similar styles. So again, McDavid 151 points in the season right now. Second place in league scoring is teammate Leon Draisaitl on 124. There is no doubt. There is no question. It doesn't matter if the Oilers missed the playoffs like they did when they gave it to Taylor Hall over McDavid. And I love Taylor Hall, current Bruin. There is no doubt Connor McDavid is the league MVP. He should win the Ted Lindsay. Give him everything. Yeah. None of this 4D chessing. Well, actually, in terms of McDavid's the most outstanding, but this guy on this team who got the 8th seed is technically more valuable. Fuck you. Quit trying those mental gymnastics bullshit. Give players flowers when they deserve them. God help this league if Connor McDavid is not the winner of the Hart and the Ted Lindsay this year because of shenanigans like that.
Yeah, he is. I don't care what anyone says. He is the most valuable. Without Connor McDavid putting up those 151 points, they may not even be a playoff team, much less battling for top seed in the division. Mm-hmm. I'd say that's more useful than scraping by with an 8 seed and you putting up some dude. Like, yeah, fuck that. Like, it's Connor McDavid is God tier.
Exactly. The Norris Trophy is the one, and we'll come back to it actually, because to that point, the Vezina. It's not even close. It's Linus Ullmark. I already referred to it. And again, if you want to fucking try to 4D chess it of well, he's on the best team, so should it actually go to
save
this
percentage?
No.
Always look at save percentage, yeah.
He has a 938 save percentage and a 189 goals against average with a 39-6-1 record. Look, you can say, man, he only played 37 games, but Philip Gustafsson had a great season. Yes, he did. Ilya Sorokin, phenomenal season. He has a 925 save percentage. And I love Ilya Sorokin. I've talked about it. I do think heading into this year, I would have had him, and I still might, as the best goaltender in the NHL. There is not a discussion about who deserves the Vezina this year. Do not try to fucking finagle Connor Hellebuck into winning it. No.
I don't know. I heard someone say that because UC Soros carried Nashville Predators into the playoffs, that he deserves it. When I said my response was, "What about last year?" I was like, "Because he got hurt after that. You know, he didn't get it last year instead." Like that argument's bullshit. And people are trying to a little gymnastics to make it happen. It's just annoying.
And then there's the Calder for Rookie of the Year. And again, had he not gotten hurt, Maciej Maselli on the Coyotes, who has 48 points this year, would have had a good chance. It's Matty Beniers, 56 points this year. Goalie-wise, I don't think you could really kind of consider someone like Logan Thompson in that conversation. Someone like Akira Schmidt had a pretty good season, but he only played 17 games. Logan Thompson, 915 save percentage. Stuart Skinner, a 912. And Kochetkov obviously didn't stick around with Carolina. It's Matty Beniers. Matty Beniers is going to win the Calder. There's no conversation there. And obviously, hey, if you want to factor in importance to a team that's making the playoffs, Seattle clinched their playoff spot for the first ever time, which is awesome. So it leaves the Norris and then the Jack Adams for Coach of the Year and the Jim Gregory for GM of the Year. Let's go for the Norris first, because this is the biggest conversation surrounding an award, because so many others are, pretty much a lock. The Norris Trophy, this conversation's been there for years in regards to, should there be two different trophies? Because you have typically who puts up the most points, but they're not often the best all-around defender. Should we have the Bobby Orr Award for best offensive defenseman and then the Norris for the best all-around defenseman? The answer to that, in my opinion, is yes.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
there is no doubt, from a points perspective, the best offensive defenseman in this league is Erik Karlsson. He has 98 points at the time of recording, the second highest. Dougie Hamilton and Quinn Hughes each with 73. And again, Erik Karlsson has done this on a bottom four Sharks team. But should he win the Norris for best defender, knowing that whether or not, and I've seen this mentioned and it's true, it doesn't matter if it's the eye test, if it's analytics, Erik Karlsson is not good defensively. That is just that is a fact.
See that little hip check you did the other night? It was cute.
I did, actually.
It was like the most it worked kind of, but it was like the daintiest fucking hip check. Oh man. He's gonna win the Norris because they need to not make it all right, yeah. If for once they make the Norris about the most complete defensive player, the three that honestly just two others. Actually the top the three others that would be up there. Or two others that would be up there. Rasmus Dahlin and Miro Heiskanen. Yeah. Sorry, Adam Fox. Sorry, Rangers fans. He's really not as good defensively as you guys all say he is. I've watched
in terms of players, sorry to cut you off, in that 70-point range, because also on our list we had Hamilton, Quinn Hughes, Dahlin, Brandon Montour on 72 points for the Florida Panthers, Josh Morrissey, Adam Fox, all on at least 71, and then Miro Heiskanen's there with 69 points. Nice. And Cale Makar was the next highest at that, but he's only played like 60 games this year. So it is that question, right? Like all of these guys, I mean, in terms of like who's the best defensively out of these players, probably Dahlin. Is it enough? Or Heiskanen? Maybe?
Dahlin's not quite to Heiskanen's level. Heiskanen is honestly super, super, super underrated.
But is that defense enough? Because if you're looking at these guys and say, okay, they need the points, and then out of these guys who are the best defensively, is Heiskanen that much better defensively than Karlsson to make it worth giving him the Norris when Karlsson currently has
absolutely. I was just saying, no, definitely not. Like, even like that, that's my point being, like, even if you choose a top three, you add in Dahlin and Heiskanen, Karlsson's still on the top because simply he's just killing everyone in terms of points. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why he would still be in the top three, even if you did the Norris, quote unquote, properly or whatever. Like, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you can say anyone other than Erik Karlsson should win this Norris. Like, the only conversation now is, like, should you have two different defensive awards? That's the conversation.
Yes.
Not as to whether or not Erik Karlsson should win this, because he should.
Yeah, maybe outright. Even three. But
Yeah.
At least two. You need the Bobby Orr Award and the Norris, or you need like the
Give us the Bobby Orr and the Lidstrom.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. The Bobby Orr, the Norris for the best all around, and the Lindstrom for the best defensive. But yeah, that's probably just too much. Yeah, just 2 defensive trophies because they don't get enough love, man. Defensemen simply don't get enough love.
Well, I think too, again, like it's only been the past decade, a little bit less, that it's gotten a little bit easier to quantify who the best defenseman is. Because aside from that, it's been points, it's been eye test, it's been, I mean, Jesus, I remember some conversations. It's like, well, this guy has a lot of hits and a lot of block shots, so he should be in the conversation. Yeah. Like, it's only been in the past 10 years, and even now, there is still just such a divide on how important analytics are versus eye test. So it's very, very much, a difficult conversation to have when people are still so divided on what makes a great defenseman great at defense.
I mean, yeah, hell, Eric Branson being paid $5 million because he's right-handed and he hits. Like, and that's your eye test saying to pay him that. And then in practice, and what analytics told you before you made that was it would be a terrible idea. And look. So, but yeah, I mean, anyway.
So the whole GM Coach of the Year thing is very much intrinsically tied to who makes the playoffs, right? And obviously you have the people who are always up there. If you're at the top of the standings, realistically, you should be there. Say what you want about him being a garbage human being in some aspects. Joel Quenneville never winning Coach of the Year, never winning Jack Adams while coaching Chicago is asinine. Because it would always go to like, well, look at the wild card, and well, the Panthers snuck in there, and we weren't really thinking they were going to at a certain point, so that's got to be down to coaching. Like, no. The Jack Adams this year should go to Boston's Jim Montgomery.
Yes.
And by God, the GM of the year should go to Don Sweeney. I said it.
I was going to say Seattle.
Seattle's up there, but in terms of the moves that they made...
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, here's the thing: Bergeron and Krejci weren't going to go fucking anywhere. They weren't going anywhere else. Like they didn't really make any moves this year. Like
Look,
Don Sweeney didn't
I have
do
to try
jack
to win back some favor here, okay?
You know who else?
Don Sweeney's
this year?
listening to this podcast right now.
No, but people who fucking kiss his shoes are. So damn it.
You know what? I would agree with you. But they did sign Mitchell Miller this year, so I think you're not going to get that. Yeah, fair. You forgot about that. Everyone's forgot about that. I remember that.
I very much didn't. Okay, Coach of the Year. Is there any disagreement about Jim Montgomery for the Bruins?
No, that's a lock. 100%.
Because obviously you could always throw Rod Brindamore in there. You could throw Lindy Ruff in there for the Devils because the Devils have been so much better than expected. But then again, so have the Bruins. Again, let's not 4D chess this. Jim Montgomery, first year as the Bruins coach, he should win this award. I do agree that GM of the Year is a little bit more interesting because there have been a lot of teams that have made interesting moves. Carolina, bringing in Brent Burns, so on and so forth. I do think that the Bruins, and you're right, David Krejci probably wasn't going to go anywhere else. But the previously aforementioned Zacha move, I think a fantastic trade deadline. I do think Sweeney will be in the mix, but whether or not he outright deserves it, I mean, it depends on what other team you put there.
A couple years ago?
Zacha
was brought in like 2 years ago.
This year.
Was he?
This was his first year. That's why I hyped him up about being underrated.
Coyle. Yeah, I'm thinking of Coyle. Okay.
Yeah. Coyle's been here for like 5 years now.
Jesus, that many already?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Charlie Coyle. Let me. I know it's 4 or 5. Yep, this was his. His fourth full season with the Bruins. He was acquired in the 18-19 season. He was a part of the team that went to the Cup final. Yeah. For those of you playing Tougies Take Podcast Bingo at home, the free space, of course, as always, is either the 2019 Cup final or the 2015 draft. So, congratulations. GM of the Year, I'm not as fussed about it because, man, there's a lot of deserving winners. It just depends on how you view it. But for so many of these awards, it's pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a tough one. But playoff-wise, it does bring us to, again, kind of keeping an updated look on things and who we think will make it in. There was a question about that. In the Eastern Conference, it's down to the wild card spots. 3 teams left, essentially. Well, technically. So I know Florida can clinch tonight if the Islanders lose. Both the Panthers and Islanders are on 80 games played, 91 points. The Penguins are on 80 games played, 90 points. And then the Sabres are technically still alive, 78 games, 85 points. So the Sabres, obviously, you do the math, 4 games left. If they win all that, that's 8 points. They can finish on 93 points. The Sabres are technically still alive. Good luck winning that bet, though. Who are we thinking makes it? I mean, obviously the Panthers and Islanders are in the driver's seat right now with 2 games left. Is there a chance? I mean, obviously there's a chance that Pittsburgh sneaks in, but kind of a tough call. Like their highlight this year has been Sidney Crosby becoming the 6th fastest player in NHL history to 1,500 points. That might be the only highlight because, man, if they get in the 8th seed and they run into the Bruins, like I said, that's my preferred option compared to the Islanders or the Panthers.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll wait to see who's in the playoffs. I don't with
Fair.
so few games left, like guessing who's I don't know. I'm just like, I just want to see who's going to be in the playoffs.
And then the last wild card spot in the West comes down to either Winnipeg, who are very much in the driver's seat for it, Calgary, or Nashville. I am still rooting for Nashville because it would be fucking hilarious.
It'd be funny as hell for Calgary to miss the playoffs. I really want Calgary and Florida to miss the playoffs just for maximum chaos, but I highly doubt that's happening for both of them.
Yeah.
Aside from that, last few things to mention. I mentioned the Lightning a few minutes ago, too. Steven Stamkos had 1,000 career games. They also have a shitload of injuries, much like Colorado. Tanner Jeannot now is confirmed to miss the start of the playoffs. You remember Tanner Jeannot and what he was traded for. Gentlemen, I know Sin wasn't there at the deadline, but a reminder.
Traded for a lot of picks, and it pissed me off because.
A reminder of what he was traded for:
a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th.
Yes.
Yep.
Cal Foot and a conditional 2025 first rounder that's top 10 protected. As a member of the Lightning, he has played 20 games, has 4 points, and it is a -6. So, Lightning, baby. Lightning hockey. Outside of that, other quick notes. Shout out to Devin Levi. He's going to start his 4th straight game for the Sabres. He is the first Sabres goalie to start 4 straight games this year. Because, well, you've had goaltending consisting of Craig Anderson, Eric Comrie, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So it's not really surprising that nobody started 4 games in a row. And then there's the signings that have continued to happen. The Minnesota Wild finally land defenseman Brock Faber, who they acquired from the Kings. Of course, he went to the University of Minnesota, and will make his debut. Luke Hughes could make his Devils debut on Tuesday. And then Endo already mentioned the Leafs officially signing forward Matthew Nyes after 42 points in 40 games for the University of Minnesota. And the Sharks sign goaltender Magnus Corona, who was a 5th-round pick of the Lightning in 2018. They signed him after he posted a .916 save percentage in 32 games for the University of Denver.
Nice.
So maybe some hope and optimism surrounding the Sharks in goal. I don't know if he'll outright be the guy for them, but it doesn't hurt to find out.
No, just throw a bunch of goalies at the wall and see which one can stop a puck.
Sounds like he's going to be he's definitely going to be AHL, ECHL kind of guy for like a year or 2.
Yeah, I mean, who's to?
Maybe.
I mean,
Makiniemi, who looked pretty good, and then I don't know, man. Goalies are weird.
Top of the list, obviously, for the Sharks is Pride Flag, Capo Kakinen, and Aaron Dell as their 3 top goalies. But yeah, they got Makiniemi in the system. Maybe the best name in all of hockey, Strauss Man.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And now Magnus Corona. So
Strauss.
Hey. And the best part is he's American.
Yeah.
No. He's German. He's actually
from
German.
Greenwich, Connecticut.
No. He's from
What are you?
He's from Dusseldorf. He's from Dusseldorf, actually.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you see how creative I am.
Beautiful. Gentlemen, with that, we will wind things down. By our next show, we should have a better outlook of the playoffs and such, and hopefully another loaded viewer question segment, because these have been a fun couple of shows. Until that next show, Endo Mills, what do you got going on?
Nothing. I'm just working on videos. Yeah. I'm supposed to have some stuff ready for you, but then on export it just kind of died and the project got corrupted. So now I'm just editing every video every session is just like one massive video now for you.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. Editing fucking sucks except when it's great.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Sin, what do you have going on?
Not just same old stuff, man. Playing a lot of Bannerlord still.
It's the way to do it.
I'm gonna take over the map. I've never done it before, and I'm gonna do it. My character's about to die though. You know, he's almost 60.
Oof.
I got an heir though.
Almost.
Dude, I fucking yeah. I started mid age 30. Like it's dude. It's a lot of hours playing that because it's not like a grand strategy game where the time goes by really fast. Anyway, yeah.
Now what's the name of the empire though?
I named it Saxony because that's honestly one of my favorite historical periods is like the early medieval period.
Fair enough.
So, and I'm recruiting other lords from other factions to make sure that they rule towns with the right culture that they are, and so people are happy. And I've been having a blast with it. Anyway,
with an iron fist ruling the land.
No, I'm pretty friendly unless you're my enemy. I haven't executed anyone though. I always put them in a dungeon or sell them.
I haven't executed anyone. Imprisonment.
I either put them in a dungeon or I ransom them. Sorry. I should say ransom, not sell.
Well, hey.
It's okay.
Exchanging a person for profit.
Oh my god, I can't believe. Oh my god.
We'll see you next week, everybody, or later this week. Oh, that was beautiful.
That took me a second. Holy shit.